The crystal spires of ethereal prime sparkled under the light of 3 suns. Ambassador Zixith stood in the highest tower, watching the sky with growing fear. Dark shapes moved between the stars. The Veltar swarm was coming. Zixith's crystalline body hummed with nervous energy. The ambassador had lived for 800 years and had never seen anything like this. The Veltar ships looked like giant insects made of metal and flesh. They ate everything in their path. Planets, space stations, entire solar systems vanished when they passed through. The communication chamber buzzed with activity. Dozens of alien species worked together trying to find a solution. The Cathari, with their massive brains, calculated attack patterns. The Sylvani used their advanced computers to model defensive strategies. Nothing worked. Report, Zixith said to Commander Velok of the Confederation Navy. The 4-armed warrior shook his head. We lost the Gamma Fleet 3 hours ago. They held for 20 minutes before the Veltar ships adapted to our weapons. The enemy learned to absorb our energy beams and turn them against us. Zixith felt cold inside. The Confederation had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had ended wars, cured diseases, and brought peace to 1,000,000 worlds. Their technology was the most advanced in known space, but none of it mattered now. The Veltar were different from any enemy they had faced. They did not want territory or resources. They simply consumed everything. Their ships were alive, growing stronger with each victory. Every weapon the Confederation used against them made them more powerful. What about the Zenith cannon? Zixith asked. Destroyed, Velok replied. The Veltar ships absorbed the energy blast and used it to create 3 new vessels. We are not fighting ships, Ambassador. We are fighting evolution itself. Through the crystal walls, Zixith could see the first wave of Veltar ships entering the star system. They moved like a swarm of hungry insects covering the space between planets. Behind them came larger vessels, massive things that pulsed with stolen life force. The communication officer, a young Etherian named Kixal, looked up from his station. Sir, we are receiving surrender demands from the Veltar Collective. Show me, Zixith said. The main screen flickered to life. A horrible sight filled the view. The Veltar speaker was a mass of twisted metal and organic tissue. Multiple eyes stared out from a face that was both machine and monster. When it spoke, the voice came from 100 different throats. Confederation species, the thing said. You have resisted long enough. Submit to absorption. Your technology and biology will improve our collective. Resistance brings only suffering. Zixith stepped forward. We will never surrender to you. The Confederation has protected this galaxy for millennia. We will not let you destroy it. The Veltar speaker made a sound like laughter mixed with grinding metal. Protection? You speak of protection while your fleets burn. We have consumed 43 star systems. We have absorbed the knowledge of 67 species. You cannot stop evolution. The transmission ended. Outside, the Veltar ships moved closer. Their weapons began charging, creating a horrible glow that hurt to look at. How long do we have? Zixith asked. 6 hours until they reach our defensive grid, Velok said. Maybe 10 hours before they crack our planetary shields. Zixith walked to the emergency communication station. This was their last hope. The galaxy-wide distress beacon could reach every corner of known space. Maybe somewhere out there another species had found a way to fight the Veltar. Open all channels, Zixith ordered. Maximum power. I want this signal to reach every star system in the galaxy. The technicians worked quickly. Warning lights flashed as the station drew massive amounts of power. In moments, they would broadcast to trillions of beings across countless worlds. Zixith stepped up to the transmitter. This might be the last message the Confederation ever sent. This is Ambassador Zixith of the Etherian Republic, speaking for the Galactic Confederation. We face complete destruction from the Veltar swarm. They have consumed 43 star systems and defeated our combined fleets. Our most advanced weapons only make them stronger. The ambassador paused, feeling the weight of history. To any species receiving this message, we beg for help. The Veltar cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be bought or bargained with. They consume everything living and turn it into more of themselves. If they destroy us, they will come for you next. Outside, the first Veltar ships reached the outer moons. Explosions lit up the darkness as automated defenses tried to stop them. The defenses lasted 3 minutes. We have tried everything, Zixith continued. Energy weapons, kinetic bombardment, biological warfare, computer viruses. Nothing stops them. They adapt to every attack and become stronger. We need help from species we have never met, technologies we have never seen. The communication officer signaled that the message was reaching the edge of the galaxy. Zixith hoped someone out there would hear it. Someone who had answers they did not. If any civilization has faced the Veltar and survived, please respond. If you have weapons that can hurt them, share your knowledge. If you have ships that can fight them, come to Ethereal Prime. We offer everything we have in return for your aid. The first Veltar attack hit the planetary defense grid. Massive shields flickered and sparked as alien weapons tore through them. The defenders fired back, but their shots only fed the enemy ships. The Confederation has always believed in peace, Zixith said, watching his world begin to die. We thought our advanced technology and wisdom could solve any problem. We were wrong. Some enemies cannot be defeated with knowledge or negotiation. Some fights require something we have forgotten how to do. A young technician ran up to the ambassador. Sir, the defense grid is failing. The Veltar ships are breaking through Sector 7. Zixith nodded but kept speaking into the transmitter. This message had to reach as far as possible. To any species listening, we do not know your name or your history. We do not know if you are friend or enemy of the Confederation. None of that matters now. The Veltar will consume everything if they are not stopped. Help us, and we will owe you a debt that can never be repaid. The crystal spires began to shake as Veltar ships entered the atmosphere. Their weapons carved through the city like hot knives through ice. Buildings that had stood for thousands of years crumbled in moments. This is our final transmission, Zixith said. Ethereal Prime will fall within hours. The Confederation fleet is destroyed. We are the last free world in this sector. If we fail, 43 billion souls will have died for nothing. The ambassador looked out at the burning city. So much beauty, so much knowledge, all about to be lost forever. Whoever you are, wherever you are, please remember us. Remember that we tried to build something better. Remember that we died free rather than submit to slavery. The transmission ended just as the first Veltar ground forces landed in the capital square. Zixith watched them pour out of their ships like a plague of metal insects. Soon they would reach the tower. But somewhere in the darkness between the stars, the message was still traveling, racing toward unknown worlds at the speed of light, carrying the desperate hope of a dying civilization. In the deepest shadows of space, ancient sensors detected the signal. Systems that had slept for centuries began to wake up, and in a small, unremarkable star system marked on old charts as Deathworld Sector, something stirred in response to the cry for help. The signal reached the edge of the Sol system at exactly 1432 Terran Standard Time. Deep Space Monitoring Station Cerberus 7 detected the alien transmission first. Its automated systems decoded the desperate message and immediately forwarded it to Earth. Admiral Sarah Chen was eating lunch in her office when the priority alert came through. She set down her sandwich and opened the encrypted file. As she read the translation, her expression grew darker with each line. "Get me the War Council," she told her aide. "Emergency session. And wake up the president." 30 minutes later, Chen stood in the Situation Room beneath the Swiss Alps. Around the table sat the most dangerous people on Earth. General Rodriguez commanded the Marine Corps. Director Liu ran intelligence. Admiral Park controlled the Navy. These were the shadows behind humanity's shadow government. "Show them," Chen said. The holographic display filled with images from the alien transmission, burning cities, massive insect-like ships, desperate faces of species they had never seen before. The War Council watched in silence as Ambassador Zixith made his final plea. "Analysis?" Chen asked when it ended. Director Liu spoke first. "The transmission is genuine. Our xenolinguistics computers confirm at least 17 different alien languages in the background chatter. This is not a hoax. What about the enemy?" General Rodriguez asked. "These Veltar things?" "Terrifying," Liu replied. "They adapt to any weapon used against them. Energy weapons make them stronger. They consume organic and synthetic matter to grow their fleet. In military terms, they are the perfect enemy." Admiral Park leaned forward. "What's our exposure? Do they know about us?" "Negative," Chen said. "Our masking protocols are still active. As far as the galaxy knows, Earth is a primitive world with basic radio technology. Our real colonies are hidden behind holographic projectors and sensor scramblers." The room fell quiet. For 300 years, humanity had lived in the shadows. When the first alien scout ship visited Earth in 2157, the people of that time made a crucial decision. Instead of revealing themselves, they captured the ship and its crew. From the aliens, they learned about the Galactic Confederation, What they discovered changed everything. The galaxy was full of peaceful species who had evolved on gentle worlds. They solved problems with technology and negotiation. War was almost unknown among them. They were, by human standards, incredibly naive. Humanity chose to stay hidden. They used the stolen alien technology to build their real civilization in secret. While Earth broadcast primitive television signals into space, human colonies spread across dozens of star systems. Their ships used cloaking technology reverse-engineered from alien hulks. "Sir," a young intelligence officer said, "why are we even discussing this? The Confederation quarantined our sector. They marked us as a death world and told everyone to stay away. Let them solve their own problems." Rodriguez slammed his hand on the table. "Because, Lieutenant, we are not them. When someone calls for help, we answer. Even if they would shoot us on sight for being Deathworlders?" the officer asked. Chen stood up. "The Confederation fears us because they do not understand us. They think Deathworlds only produce monsters. They are right about one thing. Earth did produce monsters, but we are their monsters, not the galaxy's." She activated the tactical display. It showed the Veltar advance, system after system falling to the swarm. "Look at this. 43 star systems consumed. Billions dead. These aliens never learned to fight because they never had to. Their worlds were gardens. Their evolution was guided by comfort and plenty, and ours was guided by ice ages, supervolcanoes, and asteroid impacts," Rodriguez added. "Earth spent 4 billion years trying to kill everything on it. Only the strongest and most adaptable survived." Director Liu pulled up files on the Confederation species. The Etherians evolved on a crystal world with 3 gentle suns. The Cathari developed intelligence on a planet with perfect weather and no predators. The Silvani achieved spaceflight without ever experiencing war. "They are everything we thought we should become," Admiral Park said quietly. "Advanced peaceful-wise, but when real predators came for them, all that wisdom meant nothing." Chen nodded. "The Veltar are pure evolution. They adapt, consume, and grow stronger. The Confederation cannot fight them because their species never learned to be predators. But we did," Rodriguez said with a grim smile. "Every human alive is descended from survivors," Chen continued. "Our ancestors lived through mass extinctions, climate disasters, and environmental collapse. We did not develop technology to explore the stars. We developed it to survive our own planet's attempts to kill us." The tactical display updated with new intelligence. The Veltar had broken through the Confederation's last defense line. Ethereal Prime would fall within hours. "They asked for help from species they have never met," Chen said. "They do not know we exist, but their message reached us anyway." "What do we do?" The War Council exchanged glances. They all knew the risks. Revealing humanity would change everything. The Confederation would learn that the species they feared most had been watching them for centuries. "The Veltar are heading toward the galactic core," Liu reported. "After they finish with the Confederation, they will spread outward. Eventually they will reach our hidden colonies. Better to fight them now while they are still learning," Rodriguez said. "If we wait, they will adapt to Confederation technology. Fighting them later will be harder." Admiral Park activated the fleet status display. "Battlegroup Cerberus is on patrol near the quarantine border. 50 ships, full stealth configuration. We could have them at Ethereal Prime in 18 hours. Rules of engagement?" Rodriguez asked. Chen thought for a moment. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for the day they might need to defend their hidden empire. But they never imagined they would reveal themselves to save their enemies. "Total war protocols," she said finally. "The Veltar adapt to whatever they face. We do not give them time to adapt. We hit them with everything we have all at once, faster than they can evolve." "What about the Confederation species?" Liu asked. "They will see us coming. Let them," Chen replied. They called for help. "We are answering." She turned to the communication officer. "Send a message to Battlegroup Cerberus. Tell Admiral Kane to drop stealth protocols and engage the enemy at Ethereal Prime. Authorization code, Broken Masquerade." The officer's fingers flew across his console. In 18 hours, humanity would reveal itself to the galaxy. 3 centuries of hiding would end in a single battle. "Are we sure about this?" Admiral Park asked. "Once we show ourselves, there is no going back." Chen looked around the room. These people had dedicated their lives to keeping humanity safe in the shadows. Now they were about to step into the light. "The Veltar are everything we trained to fight," she said. "An enemy that cannot be reasoned with, bargained with, or defeated through technology alone." The Confederation species are like children playing with weapons they do not understand. But we understand. We have always understood. Understood what? The young intelligence officer asked. Rodriguez answered. That survival is not about being the smartest or the most advanced. It is about being willing to do whatever it takes to keep breathing. The Confederation species forgot that lesson because their worlds never taught it to them. But Earth taught it to us every single day, Chen added. And now it is time to graduate. The War Council dispersed to make preparations. Within hours, the most powerful fleet humanity had ever assembled would drop out of hyperspace above Ethereal Prime. The aliens who had called for help would finally get an answer, but they would learn that sometimes salvation comes from the monsters hiding in the dark. The Veltar fleet surrounded Ethereal Prime like a cancer spreading through healthy tissue. Their bioships pulsed with stolen energy from dozens of dead worlds. Ambassador Zixth watched from the crumbling communication tower as the enemy prepared for the final harvest. The planetary shields had failed 2 hours ago. Veltar ground forces moved through the crystal city like a plague of metal insects. They consumed everything in their path. Buildings, vehicles, even the decorative gardens that had taken centuries to grow. Any response to our distress signal? Zixith asked. Communication Officer Kixall shook his head. Nothing, sir. The signal reached the edge of the galaxy, but no one has answered. Commander Velok limped into the room, his forearms bleeding from shrapnel wounds. The Veltar are 3 blocks away. We have maybe 10 minutes before they reach this tower. Zixith nodded sadly. Then we die as we lived, free. Outside, the largest Veltar bioship positioned itself above the capital. The massive creature was over 5 kilometers long, its hull a disgusting mix of metal plating and organic tissue. Weapon pods along its sides began to glow with deadly energy. Preparing orbital bombardment, Kixall reported. They're going to sterilize the entire city. That was when space tore open. The hyperspace exit was nothing like the gentle transitions used by Confederation ships. This was violent, aggressive, like a predator pouncing from ambush. Reality twisted and screamed as something forced its way into normal space. Ships emerged from the rift. But these were not like any vessels in the Confederation database. They were angular, scarred things that looked more like weapons than spacecraft. Their hulls were dark metal, covered in armor plating and weapon mounts. They moved through space like sharks hunting in deep water. What are those? Velok whispered. More ships appeared, dozens of them, all different sizes but with the same predatory design. At their head was a massive dreadnought that dwarfed even the largest Veltar bioship. Its hull was black as space itself, marked with scars from countless battles. The unknown fleet did not try to communicate. They did not demand surrender or negotiate terms. They simply opened fire. The first salvo hit the Veltar orbital ship like a hammer striking glass. Nuclear warheads detonated along its hull, followed by kinetic projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed. The bioship's adaptive armor began to respond, shifting to absorb the energy weapons. Then the unknown ships switched tactics. Instead of energy beams, they fired explosive shells filled with depleted uranium. When the Veltar armor adapted to stop those, the attackers used gravity bombs that crushed sections of hull into neutron-dense matter. When the bioship tried to regenerate, focused particle beams carved through the healing tissue. They are not giving it time to adapt, Zixith said in amazement. The orbital bombardment ship died in flames, its biomatter burning in the vacuum of space. But the unknown fleet was just getting started. Smaller ships dove toward the planet's surface, their weapons targeting Veltar ground forces. They did not try to avoid civilian areas or preserve infrastructure. Their only goal was to kill the enemy as quickly and efficiently as possible. On the surface, Veltar troops found themselves under attack from fighters that moved like living creatures. The alien pilots flew patterns that should have been impossible, pulling maneuvers that would kill any normal being. Their weapons were crude but devastating. Chemical explosives, kinetic rounds, and something that looked like controlled nuclear fire. The Veltar tried to adapt. Their bioarmor shifted to absorb kinetic energy. The unknown fighters immediately switched to thermal weapons. When the enemy developed heat resistance, the attackers used sonic charges that shattered Veltar chitin from the inside. They are fighting like animals, Commander Velok said. No strategy, no coordination. Just pure aggression. No, Zixith corrected, watching the battle unfold. Look closer. Every attack is different. They are not giving the Veltar time to learn and adapt. This is not animal fury. This is planned savagery. In space, the main Veltar fleet moved to engage the unknown ships. The biovessels outnumbered the attackers 3-1, and their adaptive technology had learned from thousands of previous battles. They should have won easily. But the unknown ships fought like nothing the Veltar had ever faced. When bioships tried to ram them, the attackers used their engines to dodge at impossible angles. When Veltar weapons targeted their hulls, they spun and twisted to present moving targets. One human destroyer, surrounded by 5 Veltar cruisers, should have been destroyed quickly. Instead, it accelerated directly toward the largest enemy ship. At the last second, it released its entire payload of nuclear mines and used its emergency thrusters to change course. The mines detonated inside the bioship's hull, tearing it apart from within. The destroyer emerged from the explosion damaged but still fighting. Its captain immediately targeted the next closest enemy, showing no fear or hesitation. "What kind of species fights like this?" Kixel asked. The question was answered when one of the unknown ships was damaged and forced to land near the communication tower. Zixith watched as armored figures emerged from the wreckage. They moved through the rubble like predators, their weapons ready, their movements efficient and deadly. The first human soldier Zixith saw was smaller than expected. The being stood only 2 meters tall, its body covered in battle armor that looked both primitive and effective. But there was something in the way it moved that made Zixith's crystal form ring with fear. This creature had evolved to kill. More soldiers spread out from the crash site. They moved in small groups, communicating through hand signals and electronic devices. When they encountered Veltar ground troops, the fighting was brief and brutal. The humans did not try to match Veltar technology. Instead, they used tactics that were older than civilization itself. They set ambushes, used cover, and coordinated their attacks with ruthless precision. When their weapons proved ineffective, they switched to different ones. When those failed, they used explosives. When explosives were not enough, they fought with blades and bare hands. One human soldier, cut off from his squad, faced 3 Veltar warriors in close combat. The aliens were larger, stronger, and equipped with adaptive weapons. The human should have died quickly. Instead, he used the environment as a weapon. He brought down a damaged building to crush one enemy, used broken glass to blind another, and strangled the third with its own biocables. The entire fight lasted less than 2 minutes. "Impossible," Velok breathed. "How can such a small creature defeat Veltar warriors?" The answer came from the human himself. After the fight, he looked directly at the communication tower where they were hiding. Even through the armor, Zixith could feel the intensity of his gaze. This was not a species that had evolved intelligence to avoid conflict. This was a species that had evolved intelligence to become better killers. In space, the battle was turning. The Veltar fleet, which had conquered 43 star systems, was being systematically destroyed by ships that looked like they had been built in a scrapyard. The unknown attackers used every weapon imaginable: nuclear fire, kinetic rounds, particle beams, gravity bombs, and things that defied easy classification. When Veltar bioships tried to adapt to one weapon type, the attackers would switch to something completely different. They fought without honor, without mercy, and without giving their enemies time to evolve defenses. The largest Veltar command ship, a creature the size of a space station, found itself surrounded by human vessels. The bioship's adaptive armor had learned to resist most forms of attack. It should have been nearly invulnerable. The human ships opened fire with everything they had. The bioship's armor adapted quickly, absorbing energy and deflecting kinetic rounds. But the humans were not trying to destroy it. They were hurting it. The command ship found itself pushed toward the system's star. Too late, it realized the trap. The human ships had been driving it into the star's gravity well. Unable to escape, the massive bioship was pulled into the stellar fires and destroyed. Within 6 hours, the entire Veltar fleet was gone. 43 star systems of conquest and adaptation ended by ships that looked like they had been cobbled together from spare parts. As the last enemy vessel died, Zixith received a communication from the unknown fleet. The voice that came through the speakers was harsh and unfamiliar, speaking in a language that the translation computer struggled to decode. "Ethereal Prime. This is Admiral Kane of the Terran Defense Corps. The immediate threat has been neutralized. We are deploying ground forces to secure the area. Do not resist. We are here to help. Terran. The name meant nothing to any database in the Confederation. But as Zixith watched human soldiers move through the ruined city, one thing became clear. Salvation had come from the monsters hiding in the dark. And the galaxy would never be the same. 3 days after the battle, Ambassador Zixith stood in the ruins of the Capitol building waiting to meet their saviors. The crystal spires lay broken across the plaza, but the city was alive again. Human soldiers moved through the streets, clearing debris and hunting for any remaining Veltar creatures. The humans had not asked permission to land. They simply did it. Their ships filled the sky above Ethereal Prime like metal birds of prey. They set up field hospitals, distributed supplies, and secured the area with military efficiency that amazed the surviving Confederation forces. But they had not revealed themselves yet. The human soldiers wore full armor that covered their faces. They communicated through electronic devices and responded to questions with simple gestures. Zixith knew they were waiting for something. The waiting ended when a shuttle landed in the central plaza. It was larger than the fighters but still carried the same predatory design. Armored figures emerged and formed a protective circle around someone in different armor. Captain Marcus Rodriguez removed his helmet as he approached the communication tower. Zixith got the first clear look at a human face. The creature was smaller than most Confederation species, but there was something unsettling about its features. Small eyes that seemed to track everything at once, a mouth that could display aggression or friendship in an instant, and an expression that suggested this being had seen more violence than any civilized species should survive. Ambassador Zixith, Rodriguez said through a translation device. I am Captain Rodriguez of the Terran Marine Corps. Admiral Kane sends his regards and an invitation to talk. Zixith's crystal form resonated with nervous energy. Terran, our databases have no record of your species. That was intentional, Rodriguez replied. We need to talk somewhere secure. There are things you need to know about us, things about this galaxy that you have never suspected. 2 hours later, Zixith sat across from Rodriguez in a makeshift meeting room. The human had brought several devices that created an electronic barrier around them. Whatever they discussed would remain private. First question, Zixith said. Where did you come from? Your ships appeared from nowhere. Rodriguez activated a holographic display. It showed a star map with a small section highlighted in red. We came from here. The sector you marked as Quarantine Zone 77 Beta. Zixith felt shock resonate through his crystal matrix. The Deathworld sector? That is impossible. No intelligent life could evolve there. Why impossible? Rodriguez asked. Because that region contains only Type 13 worlds. Extreme gravity, unstable weather, dangerous radiation, constant geological activity. The Confederation survey marked it as unsuitable for life. Rodriguez smiled and the expression looked predatory. Your survey was correct. Those worlds are extremely dangerous. But life did evolve there anyway. It just evolved differently. The hologram shifted to show a blue-green planet orbiting a yellow star. Zixith recognized it from ancient survey reports. The third planet of System Sol, classified as extremely hostile to intelligent life. This is Earth, Rodriguez said. Our homeworld? Your people visited it once about 300 years ago. The expedition to Sol 3, Zixith whispered. They never returned. We assumed they were killed by the hostile environment. They were killed, Rodriguez confirmed, but not by the environment. By us. The room fell silent. Zixith processed this information slowly. The Confederation had lost contact with dozens of ships over the centuries. They always assumed the crews had died in accidents or environmental disasters. We captured their ship, Rodriguez continued, studied their technology, learned about your Confederation, and we made a decision that shaped the next 3 centuries. What decision? To stay hidden. To watch and learn without revealing ourselves. Rodriguez changed the hologram to show Confederation space from a new perspective. Zixith was amazed to see markers indicating human colonies scattered throughout what they thought was empty space. You have been here all along, Zixith said, watching us. For 300 years, we built our real civilization in the shadows while broadcasting primitive signals from Earth. Your people think we are barely above Stone Age technology. Why hide? The Confederation welcomes all intelligent species. Rodriguez laughed, and the sound was not entirely pleasant. Does it? Your own records classify our region as a Deathworld zone. You tell your people to avoid it because nothing good could come from there. Zixith felt uncomfortable. The captain was right. The Confederation had made assumptions about Deathworld species based on their own experiences. They believed that harsh environments could only produce savage, violent creatures. You were afraid of what we might be, Rodriguez continued. So we decided to let you keep believing we did not exist. It was safer for everyone. But you came when we called for help. Yes, because hiding in the shadows does not mean we lack honor. Rodriguez stood and walked to the window overlooking the ruined city. Human soldiers were helping Etherian civilians clear debris from a collapsed school. Others were setting up water purification equipment. Your people called us Deathworlders, he said. You were right. Earth tried to kill us every single day for millions of years. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, mass extinctions. Only the strongest and most adaptable survived. But that made you violent, Zixith protested. Deathworlds produce killers. Rodriguez turned back to face the ambassador. Yes, we are killers. Every human alive is descended from creatures that survived when gentler species went extinct. But being a killer does not make us evil. He activated another hologram showing the recent battle. The Veltar are also killers. But they kill for consumption, for growth, for the pleasure of domination. We kill for protection, for survival, for those who cannot protect themselves. Zixith watched the recording of human ships destroying Veltar vessels. The tactics were brutal but precise. No energy was wasted on cruelty or display. Every action had a purpose. The difference, Rodriguez said, is that we choose when to be monsters. Your technology is impressive, Zixith admitted. But it seems primitive compared to Confederation systems, because we designed it for war, not exploration. Every human tool has two purposes, its obvious function and its potential as a weapon. We learned that from Earth. Rodriguez showed images of human colonies. They were built like fortresses, with multiple defensive systems and escape routes. Even their civilian ships carried enough firepower to fight off attackers. Your species developed technology to explore the galaxy and meet new friends, Rodriguez said. We developed technology to survive in a universe that wants to kill us. That is why we could defeat the Veltar when you could not. But you are here now, Zixith said. You revealed yourselves to save us. Why? Because the Veltar would not have stopped with the Confederation. Eventually, they would have found our hidden colonies. Better to fight them now while they are still learning, than wait for them to adapt to your technology. Rodriguez paused, his expression growing serious. And because someone had to answer your call for help. The translation device crackled as Admiral Kane's voice came through from orbit. Captain, we have a problem. Long-range sensors are detecting Veltar reinforcements heading for the galactic core. They will reach Confederation space in 72 hours. Rodriguez looked at Zixith. The ones we fought here were just scouts. The main hive is still out there, and now they know about us. What do you need? Zixith asked. Everything. Ship locations, defensive positions, civilian evacuation routes, and we need it fast. Zixith accessed the Confederation database and began transferring files. This contains everything we know about Veltar movements and our remaining forces. Good. Admiral Kane is coordinating with what is left of your fleet. We are going to make a stand at the galactic core. Captain, Zixith said as Rodriguez prepared to leave. Why are you helping us? After centuries of hiding, you could have stayed in the shadows. Rodriguez stopped at the door. Because, Ambassador, isolation is just another form of death. We stayed hidden to protect ourselves, but protection without purpose is just survival, and survival without meaning is not life. He put his helmet back on, hiding his human features behind armored glass. The galaxy is about to learn what Deathworlders are capable of when they fight for something other than themselves. As Rodriguez left, Zixith realized that everything the Confederation thought they knew about the universe was wrong. They had believed that advanced civilizations were peaceful by nature. That intelligence meant the end of violence. But somewhere in the dark between the stars, a species had evolved that combined both intelligence and savagery. They had learned to be monsters by choice rather than nature. And when the real monsters came calling, only monsters could answer. The galaxy was about to change forever. And Zixith was not sure if that was a good thing or a terrible one. 6 months later, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the orbital station above New Geneva. Through the transparent aluminum windows, she could see ships from a dozen different species docking at the facility. Etherian crystal vessels, Kethari bioships, Silvani computer-guided craft and human warships all shared the same space. The war was over. The last Veltar stronghold had fallen 3 weeks ago, when a combined human Confederation fleet cracked their fortress world in the galactic core. The enemy that had consumed 43 star systems was finally extinct. But the victory had come at a cost that went beyond ships and lives. The galaxy itself had changed. "Admiral," her aide announced, "the Galactic Assembly is ready for you." Chen nodded and made her way to the main conference chamber. As she walked through the corridors, she saw the evidence of that change everywhere. Human and alien personnel worked side by side, their uniforms marking them as members of the new Galactic Defense Corps. The old Confederation Navy had been dissolved and reformed with human military doctrine at its core. The assembly chamber was packed. Representatives from every surviving species in the galaxy had come to witness this moment. At the center of the room stood a podium where Chen would address them all. Ambassador Zixith waited near the entrance. In the months since Ethereal Prime, the Etherian had become humanity's strongest supporter in the Confederation. His crystal form chimed softly as Chen approached. "Are you ready for this?" he asked. Chen looked out at the hundreds of alien faces staring back at her. 6 months ago, none of them had known humanity existed. Now they were asking humans to become the protectors of galactic civilization. "As ready as anyone can be for something like this," she replied. The chamber fell silent as Chen stepped up to the podium. She activated the universal translator and began to speak. "6 months ago, your people sent a distress signal into the darkness between the stars. You called for help when the Veltar came to destroy everything you had built. You did not know who might answer. You did not know if anyone would answer at all." She paused, looking out at the assembled representatives. "We heard your call, and we came." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Chen could see fear and gratitude mixed in their expressions. These beings were still trying to understand what humanity represented. "You have asked us many questions since then. Where did we come from? Why did we stay hidden? How were we able to defeat an enemy that destroyed your fleets?" Chen activated a holographic display showing the Sol system. "We came from a world that spent 4 billion years trying to kill everything on it. A planet where mass extinctions happened regularly, where ice ages froze continents solid, where volcanoes could block out the sun for years at a time." The display shifted to show images of early human ancestors, primitive creatures struggling to survive in a hostile environment. "Our species did not evolve intelligence to build beautiful cities or explore the stars. We evolved intelligence to survive when everything else died. We learned to adapt faster than our environment could kill us." More images appeared. Humans developing tools, making fire, building shelters. Each innovation driven by the need to stay alive one more day. "When your scout ships first visited Earth 3 centuries ago, we faced a choice. Reveal ourselves and join your peaceful confederation, or remain hidden and build our own civilization." Chen could see some representatives shifting uncomfortably. They knew what choice humanity had made. We chose to hide, not because we were cowards, but because we were afraid of what we might become if we joined you too soon. The hologram showed the development of human space colonies, hidden bases scattered throughout what the Confederation thought was empty space. Your people had evolved on garden worlds under gentle suns. You had never known true hardship. You solved problems with negotiation and advanced technology. War was almost unknown among you. Chen's voice grew harder. We envied you. We wanted to be like you. But we also knew that our nature was different. We were the children of a death world. We carried violence in our hearts because violence had kept us alive. The chamber was completely silent now. Every being present was focused on Chen's words. So we watched from the shadows. We learned your languages, studied your technology, observed your peaceful civilization, and we tried to become worthy of joining you. The display changed to show the Veltar invasion. Burning worlds, destroyed fleets, billions of dead. Then the real predators came, and all your wisdom, all your advanced technology, all your peaceful intentions meant nothing. The Veltar were pure evolution. They adapted to everything you threw at them. Chen stepped closer to the assembly, but they could not adapt to us. Because we were not trying to outthink them or out-technology them. We were trying to out-survive them. Images from the war flashed across the display. Human ships using brutal tactics. Soldiers fighting with primitive weapons when advanced ones failed. The methodical destruction of an enemy that had seemed unstoppable. We fought the Veltar the only way we knew how. Like animals defending their territory, like survivors who refuse to give up, like the children of a world that taught us that being civilized means choosing when to be savage. The display faded, leaving only Chen's face visible to the assembly. The war is over. The Veltar are extinct. Your worlds are safe, but the galaxy has changed forever. She gestured to the mixed crews visible through the chamber windows. Human and alien working together. Deathworlders and Garden-worlders learning from each other. You have offered us a place in your confederation. You want us to become the sword that protects the galaxy from threats too terrible for civilized species to handle. Chen paused, feeling the weight of history. This moment would define humanity's future for generations. We accept, but with conditions. Nervous sounds rippled through the assembly. They had not expected demands. First, we will not be your attack dogs. We will protect the galaxy, but we will also help rebuild it. Human engineers will work alongside yours. Our doctors will treat your wounded. Our teachers will share what we have learned. The tension in the room eased slightly. Chen continued. Second, we will not hide anymore. Human colonies will be visible. Our ships will patrol openly. The galaxy will know we exist and that we are watching. Third, and most important, we will help you learn what we had to learn the hard way. How to survive in a universe that is not always gentle. How to be strong enough to defend what you love. Chen looked directly at Ambassador Zixith. Your people called us monsters from the Deathworld sector. You are not wrong. But monsters are not always the enemy. Sometimes they are the only thing standing between civilization and the dark. She turned back to the full assembly. We are the children of Earth. We carry the scars of a world that tried to kill us every day. But we also carry its gifts. The ability to endure, to adapt, to survive when survival seems impossible. The Veltar came from the darkness between the stars. They will not be the last. Other threats will emerge from the void. Things you cannot imagine and cannot defeat with peaceful means. Chen's voice grew firm with resolve. When that day comes, you will not face it alone. We will be there watching from the shadows, ready to step into the light. Because that is what monsters do. We hunt other monsters. The chamber erupted in mixed reactions. Some representatives cheered. Others looked uncertain. A few seemed afraid. Chen expected all of those responses. As the assembly dispersed, Zixith approached the podium. That was either the beginning of a new golden age or the end of everything we built, he said. Chen smiled. Maybe both. Change is never comfortable. Will your people really protect us, even knowing how we feel about Deathworlders? We will protect you because of how you feel about Deathworlders, Chen replied. You are afraid of what harsh worlds create, but you are also wise enough to know that sometimes you need monsters on your side. Through the window, Chen could see human patrol ships beginning their first official runs through Confederation space. No more hiding behind sensor scramblers, no more pretending to be primitive. The galaxy called for help when the darkness came for them, she said quietly. We answered. And we will keep answering, for as long as the stars burn. 6 months ago, humanity had been the galaxy's most carefully guarded secret. Now they were its acknowledged protectors. The species that had learned to survive in hell itself was ready to make sure no one else would have to face that hell alone. In the depths of space, human monitoring stations continued their eternal watch. Because the children of Earth knew a truth their alien allies were still learning, in a universe full of wonders and horrors, the greatest danger comes not from the monsters you can see, but from the ones still lurking in the dark between the stars. And when those monsters finally showed themselves, humanity would be ready.